Coming at you live from Studio Rex.
Excuse you.
What?
Studio RARC podcast, perhaps?
No, this is all about me now.
Wow.
We're changing the name to Rex's podcast.
Yeah, just
Rex
like you
Two
changed
Schmucks.
Right. The name of the tribe on Ark. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Have never felt more alienated from either of you.
Are you gonna punch me?
I do right now.
That's funny.
No, I'm not going to hit you.
Oh, okay.
So we wanted to make this just a quick hit of the RARC podcast for all you addicts out there.
There you go.
So this won't be a full episode, but it will be enough to get you by until the next one comes out.
That's right.
So we wanted to do a lightning round of reviews because we know that's what you come here for. It's for our great insights on the world around you.
That's
In
right.
the age of COVID-19, the RARC family has expanded to its cousins and nieces and nephews and decided to...
And brothers.
Well, that was metaphorical. Okay, I'm going to take another run at
Sure.
that. In the age of COVID-19, the RARC family has expanded outwards to its brothers and in-laws and friends, and we've gotten together week after week after week to sample some of the best that the video game world has to offer today and yesterday, because Nate has a proclivity for ancient games.
Possibly.
And gets us to try them out.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought it was appropriate for us to bring you guys some of the best reviews from the stuff that we've been sampling together and talking about on Discord and stuff. So, Chris, why don't you go first?
All right, I will go first. I'm going to talk about a longtime favorite of mine, which is, of course, StarCraft 2. I think that was the first one that we really all jumped in on because it was something I knew we all had. It's something that's actually free. You can go and download that from Blizzard and hop in and have a good time.
Yes.
There are some limitations, but honestly, you can really, really enjoy. I think the whole first campaign is free.
Yeah.
And you can get into the PvP ladders after playing 10 wins, like 1 win a day. So at most, you need 10 days. You got to get at least 1 win against the computer or a non-ladder match and win. And then after 10 wins, 10 consecutive days, then you're free to play up the ladder all the way.
Yeah.
Which is great because that means you don't have a flood in of terrible players. It actually forces you to kind of learn before you jump into the ladder.
Are you calling me out?
No.
No, that's calling me out.
Oh, well. Both of us then.
So just
No
so
comment.
our audience at home knows, by the way, when the RARC family has gotten together to play this game, we've done 3 versus 1 matches against Rex
yeah.
where he's the one and it's 3 of us,
Yeah.
and he has almost pulled it out.
Yes. Uh-huh.
I mean, we won, but it was a very hollow victory.
It was.
And we
yeah.
played 2 versus 1 against Rex as the one where he has not just one, but one in dominating fashion.
Uh-huh.
This man is otherworldly when it comes to this game.
Yeah, something
So
like
I
that.
put some hours into that game.
Yeah.
I definitely have played the ladder. I've gotten as high as Diamond League, which isn't Masters. I just had to stop playing at the time, but I've gotten that high, and it did mean that I was able to pull off some wins.
Yeah.
2v1. I think I did win 1 3v1. That was early on, and you guys started to kind of understand a little bit better
Yeah.
how to stop me.
Yeah, he's a decent teacher, too, so give him that.
I tried.
If he
I
was
just
a
wanna
decent
say-
teacher, wouldn't we be better at the game?
Well,
You got better. You
we
just need more time.
Relative. It's
Need
all
more
relative.
time.
Exactly.
There's
yeah.
a lot to learn. That's
Right.
that's what I want to talk about, this game. If you really get into it, if you get into the strategy of how to win, there's so much to it. There's so much to learn. There's so much to figure out between the 3 different races,
Yeah.
all the different unit compositions and what works best against what unit. Learning timings of what's likely to be done by your opponent, learning how to scout your opponent, learning how to manage your resources. There's so much to it, which makes it so fun
Yeah.
when you get good.
Yeah.
But it's so frustrating when you're not good
Can
because
be.
you feel like you're drowning.
Yeah.
But once you start to pick up those things and you start to get less and less worrisome over the macro and start learning more and more about the micro game, it becomes so much more fun. I love that game because it's free, because it's really well balanced. It's made by Blizzard, so it's got the funding behind it. It's a really well put together game. The storyline is actually really fun.
Yeah.
Especially if you played the original back in 95
98,
or
99.
Okay.
Maybe you're right.
If you played it back then, and this one is just a continuation of the story, it's really
98.
fun, really well worth the time. And if you do want to put the money in for the 2X packs, really fun.
Yeah, I found them for
So StarCraft
half off
2.
one time.
StarCraft 2 out of 5. How many stars?
Wow.
Yeah, well,
Okay, I'm gonna give
Pun?
StarCraft 2 for the type of game it is. It's a 5 out of 5. For
5 out of 5.
yeah, for an RTS, a real-time strategy, I give it a 5 out of 5,
All right.
and it's free.
Yeah, and it's free. And I trust that that's not grade inflation.
No.
Nate, you're up next.
great inflation.
Yeah, it's a real problem in
Wait.
our colleges and
Oh,
universities.
I was like so confused for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my other comment on closing that was, if you're not any good at and the learning curve is too high, you can just do what I do and spend your time in custom games. They call the arcade.
There
And-
is
yeah.
a plethora of individuals out
Yes.
there who make their own games
Exactly.
through the custom game editor,
Yeah.
and you can enjoy those as well. Definitely something that the game provides.
Yeah,
There's endless possibilities of entertainment with that game.
Yeah.
For sure.
good times. Okay, so my first on the list is going to be the ancient one that Chuck referred to. This is Descent. Descent was a 6 degrees of shooter. It's also called a 0G shooter, but it was back in 90. The original came out in 95, I believe, and Descent 2, the sequel, was 96 or 7. And those were the two that really sort of put it on the map. In my opinion, they've never actually made another game like it until the last few years, where there actually was a project that was on Kickstarter, and the people who started the software company that made the original Descent made a new game called Overload. I have had a chance to play it. It actually really does live up to its origins, so that's kind of exciting. But we did play this because some developers over time have converted it, taken the source and ported it to a new graphics library, so you can play it on modern systems. And it's totally free because it's open source. As I like to say, it runs on a potato. You can play it on anything. You can play it on a puny little netbook that you got back in 2008 when those were a thing.
Definitely a plus for getting us all to play it.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good times, and but it's very, if you haven't played that kind of game before and you're not used to the motion, the 6 degrees of freedom, this whole thing where you can move on all of your axes.
Basically, it moves as if you were wearing a jetpack.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you're not used
Or
to
you're
that,
in
it can
space.
be disorienting.
Because you're
Yeah.
in space.
You are in space. Yeah, you're in
You're in a
asteroids,
spaceship
right?
in space.
Yeah, you're not in space. You're in mines that are in space. So
Okay.
you're indoors.
But
you're not
in
in
space.
open space,
You're
but you're
not-
in space.
yeah.
Yeah, 0G. Yeah,
0G.
yeah. So it's good times.
Or you have a jetpack, sure.
Yeah, or you
got
have
a
a
jetpack.
jetpack. All I'm trying to say is that you can go up and
Yeah,
down,
Up and
Yeah.
down,
and
backwards,
forward and
yeah,
backwards,
mhm.
and I think
Yeah.
you can even go diagonal.
You could turn upside down, and then down is up and up is down.
Yeah, you can turn.
Unlike a jetpack.
Right. Yeah.
No,
No, you cannot fly a jetpack upside down
I'm not saying you could
Maybe
fly
if you're
one,
in
but
zero
you could
G.
use one to turn upside down.
Sure.
and die.
It.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so
Sorry.
maybe it's not.
No, that's
like a
fine.
jetpack.
It was, and I think I was introduced to it because my dad played it a lot. He used to play it at work, which, of course, the employer didn't particularly care for, but they always ask the guys in that particular department, "Hey, why is the server so busy between like noon and 1?" "Oh, we have no idea. We don't know what you're talking about," as they were playing this game, or the LAN. So it's very
awesome.
it's very fun. It's retro. It's classic. It kind of had a cult following, if you will, but not everybody's heard of it. Obviously, you guys had never heard of it till we played it, but
No, you know what? I remember playing a game that was kind of similar,
Mhm.
where you had to run it through MS-DOS,
Oh yeah,
but it wasn't Descent. It was something else.
Interesting.
But Descent was a lot of fun when we played.
yeah, good times. I would give it again, for its time, a 5 out of 5. Does it hold up well now? Maybe I'd ask your guys' opinion when we played.
You know what? It was really smooth. It was easy
It was
to
smooth,
learn.
yeah.
The PvP, once we got that figured out,
Mhm.
where we actually did teams.
Yep.
Honestly, that was the first night playing that where I felt like, okay, like were laughing, were making
Yes,
fun of each other.
exactly.
Like, people were dying in ridiculous ways.
Yes.
There was a nice spread of different types of weapons to use
Right.
with different abilities.
Yeah.
Once I figured out you can get like the afterburners and start zipping around real quick, that
Yep.
was fun.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Entertainment wise, I would say
Mhm.
that was a 5 out of 5
Yeah.
game to play. Graphic wise and just the having to go around and download the
Yeah.
different files
Setup
and get
is
it all to work
a
and
little
set
work.
up.
Mhm.
Probably a 2 out of 5 experience
Yeah.
with the whole package.
Understandable, because nobody's bundled it into a nice, easy click next finish installer for you.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's sufficient.
Yeah, I'm probably in that 2 out of 5
Yeah.
range.
Yeah, the graphics
I distinctly remember being more frustrated than anything.
with the install process
That
or the
could
actual
be-
playing.
Well,
that could be
a little
user
of
skill.
both, but
Yeah.
yeah, I kept getting smoked by Robert and Jeremiah.
It does, yeah. You have to
So,
kind of be used
sure.
to that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the graphics definitely still look like the 90s or maybe the early 2000s, but as I said, you can run it on anything.
Oh, it
so-
felt like mid 90s,
Yeah.
like Doom level.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Original Doom.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Wolfenstein, whatever. Yeah, it was terrible, but great
There
for
was
that time.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
there's actually there's another version of it that somebody's made where they've added a lot of graphical stuff
texture packs?
into it. Yeah, texture packs and whatnot. We didn't play that because it is more demanding and it's a little bit even more complicated to set up. But it
Yeah.
is, it's there if people want
That
to try it out.
complication is what makes it tough
Exact-
to sell.
Yeah.
So
it
a
is.
number of the games we've played in the quarantine season have been competitive, especially shooter type games. And Rex, I just have to confess to you, I don't know what it is, but there is something like doubly satisfying about killing you
Really?
versus killing other people.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a fair statement.
so one of the other games we played was Counter-Strike, which is not the game I'll be giving a review of. But
CS:GO.
there was just something about like when I fired a shot and it said like, "Oh, you tagged Rex," I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I
Is
got
it,
him."
Is it because I trash talk?
Yes.
I think it's a little of that, and then I think it's a little bit of having played against you in so many other competitive games and lost so hard so many times, which includes Magic the Gathering,
Sure.
StarCraft, and others. So
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I
But what's
get it.
next on your list?
So one of the
Mr.
games that
Chuck?
I have picked up over the last few months is the smash hit sequel to the 2016 Doom reboot called Doom Eternal.
Oh yeah.
Man, it's probably the most fast-paced, hectic game I've ever played. You can't sit still
Wow.
for a single second.
Huh.
Which was true of the 2016 version. What the new one adds in addition to that is their attempt at, and this is, a real gamer term here, but their attempt at platforming, which is like that Mario style of progressing
yeah.
through a level. You have to nail a jump in
puzzles.
a particular way
Yeah.
to get from point A to point B, otherwise you lose, right? And you have to start over from whatever point.
I don't like that in a
Um,
shooter. Just
Yeah,
me.
it feels clunky at times, and there were certain points while I was playing it where I wondered, like, what does this actually add to my experience right now? Like, why is it not just letting me run into the next room full of monsters and to get to what the game really has to offer, which is a screen full of bright, brilliant colors while I slaughter the legions of hell's demons?
Right.
Like,
Of course.
I'm not here playing Doom for the challenge of hitting A and then Y and then X in the right order so that I can move from point A to point B.
Uh-huh.
I'm here playing Doom for the challenge of sawing demons in half
That's right.
with one hand and shotgunning them in the face with the other hand.
Awesome.
Of course.
Awesome.
Every
Just
man's
give
dream.
me more of that.
Yeah. Yes, please. Sign me up.
But it is, and that sounds like, oh, it must be this really simplistic thing where all you do is shoot and cut and kill stuff. But like they find a way to be very creative with that because it takes cues from another game like Dark Souls, which I loved, where there's no point in the game where you're not extremely vulnerable. All the enemies are so overpowered that you really have to nail it just right to get from level to level to level. And then there's, boss fights that are really creative where it takes a while to figure out the gimmick, and then several enemy units that you just encounter on a normal basis kind of have a boss-like gimmick where they're extremely powerful until you do something to disable this weapon or whatever. And they use that to really ramp up the challenge of certain rooms and certain levels and to keep you engaged. So, I noticed that it had a very good rhythm of setting you up in an area where you really could just run through all the enemies and feel like you're having this awesome experience and like, yeah, I'm good at Doom. And then it'll string you along with that for a minute, but then there's a hard left turn into a different room, and now you've tried it 30 times and you can't figure out what you're doing wrong. So it mixes challenge with ease quite well to keep you engaged and keep you coming back. So
how far into it are you, do you think?
I haven't actually finished it.
No.
I haven't been able to pick it up really at any point in the last few weeks either, but pastoring is a complicated profession.
Yes.
To almost quote The Mandalorian, or at least the Mandalorian commercial that I keep seeing on YouTube, because I haven't watched the show. Oh. But I'm probably somewhere between 60 and 70% into it, but that does not equate. That doesn't tell you how many hours I've spent playing it, because there are certain parts where I swear it took me over an hour.
So what do you rate this?
A certain room. It's got to be at least a 4 out of 5, maybe like 4.25.
Yeah.
And if you were to ask me like, well, what's it missing to get to that 5-star rating? It's not so much that it's missing stuff; it's that they kind of tried to do too much. Part of like the 2016 Doom is a 5. It's a solid 5 because it was a little bit simpler and just gave you more of every part of the game was the good part of the game. There just wasn't a bad part. Whereas in the sequel, they kind of tried to add some stuff to it. It seemed like they tried to add stuff they had seen in other games, and they thought, oh, well, the next Doom needs to have this. Because now we've come back and we need to keep impressing people.
Yeah, so, try to stay relevant.
But not everything they added actually translated well or added anything to the experience. Just let me get back to the good part.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not missing anything. It's trying to do too much, actually.
That's fair.
So yeah, Doom Eternal, highly recommend it. Not for the kids, however.
Of course.
4.25 out of 5.
Nice.
Excellent. I'm going to pause this for a second. You don't pause that, but we'll edit this out. So we're past the 15-minute. We're at 17 and a half. Do we want to just say this was one round, and that's the short episode?
Yeah.
Or do we want to do one more round?
Let's do one more.
Okay.
Because if we do 3, we'll end up with a 45-minute episode anyway.
Okay, one more.
Okay.
Cool.
Unpause.
That's right.
All right, so next up on my list, I guess I will talk about the one that we have been playing, I think, the most recently, which is Ark.
Yeah.
Survival Evolved.
Yes, that's
tons of fun.
Tons of fun. It came out. It was for free on the Epic Games Store a couple weeks ago. So we, those of us who didn't have it already, we snagged it. We jumped into it. The draw initially to me was the idea that this was actually going to be a team-based game, whereas a lot of the other ones we've been playing have been competitive.
Right.
This one we were going to be able to work as a team, have a common goal, and be in a persistent world where whatever we do one week, we'll still have the next week, supposedly. Now, there was a situation where somehow two of my brothers-in-law ended up destroying the first wood house I built.
Sure.
I still don't have a clear story. Something about a brontosaurus.
Yeah. It wasn't even a brontosaurus.
So, just so everybody knows, like, this game, and it's almost unfair to call it a game, right? Because game implies that there's a way to win.
that's
and
fair,
there's something you're competing against.
Right.
But it drops you into this open world that is filled with dinosaurs, and some of them are to scale. Like, they're 1,000 times the size of your
huge.
character.
They're absolutely to scale.
Yeah.
That's what makes it awesome.
Yeah.
And they interact with the world around them, and they toppled a house that Rex had built.
They did.
By the way, Rex, I'm finding out you are a fantastic architect.
Well, thank you.
That's right.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
We're on a server that's a PvE. It's public server, a dedicated server from whoever at the
official game.
The official game servers. Anyways, so one of the first things that was kind of frustrating is on these dedicated servers, players go around and basically they set up enough of their own base and buildings to make it almost impossible for a new player to come into the server and find a place to build.
Correct.
That's very frustrating. I understand the strategy of that, of like, basically, this is my land, like, I want to save this for myself and not let somebody else build on it. But on a PvE server where it's not player versus player, it's player versus environment,
Right.
it just seems so jerkish. And it was really frustrating at first. We spent, I think, the first couple of times we played just trying to find a place to be like, this is our spot.
Yeah.
We finally have a spot. I probably should have wrote down what server we're on in case somebody wanted to play with us.
Well,
but you
contact
can
us
message
and-
us. Yeah.
We'll get you in the
We
Discord.
can get you in the Tribe of Rex. I
Yeah.
think we've
Which
got room
is,
for
by
more.
the way, what it's called.
It's called the Tribe of Rex.
Thank you very
yeah.
much. Yes.
I was the one who first figured out how to make a tribe.
Sure.
Today, the Tribe of Rex christened its first naval vessel,
We did.
the USS Rexford.
Well done.
What happened on this naval? Well, okay. What was the? We were.
Okay, so
We
this, just for the people at home listening, this gives you a taste of the kind of stuff that happens in this game, right? So,
Sure. Yeah.
So Rex and some of the other guys on the team have been able to invest some good time into this, and as you progress, you learn how to make more stuff, and you get to choose what stuff you want to learn how to make. And it's everything from weapons to saddles to ride the dinosaurs, because that's an option for you,
Mm-hmm.
to house building stuff, to weapons and everything like that, right? So it forces you to team up with others, because one person can't learn everything. So,
You got to kind of specialize.
so I learned how to make a raft, our own little boat,
Nice.
and fishing poles.
Yeah.
And it felt awesome because Rex and I had this idea that, like, oh, we're gonna hit the open water and
We
we're
decked
gonna
out the
fish.
boat. We put 2 chairs
Yeah.
on it.
Oh, you did. Oh,
We put a fire pit on the boat, which is totally safe.
Yeah,
sure.
So that I thought,
wood boat, by the way.
when we
Totally legit.
when we catch fish, I'm like, we'll cook it
Yeah.
in the fire pit. And okay, go ahead.
Well, we had to find out a lot of this stuff you just learn as you play the game, because it would be impossible for them to write an instruction manual
Yeah.
with any sense of brevity. So,
Yeah.
we make fishing poles. We find out, we need bait to fish, right? Common sense.
Yeah.
Well, how do we get bait? Well, we look that up on the internet. Oh, we have to go into this swamp and find these leeches and kill them, and they drop bait for you.
Oh boy.
So we found our way into this swamp, and everything was going swimmingly.
We went on
For a while.
we went on the open water, just like due north from our camp, because our camp is right on the beach.
Okay.
It was beautiful. It was like a dream. Like, all we needed was beer. Like, if we
Yeah.
just had like some beer, we were 2 guys going on a fishing
Yeah,
trip.
it was like
perfect.
I
a
think
scene
you
out
can
of
make
Huck
that
Finn
later.
that came to life.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as we got deep into the swamp,
Mm-hmm.
we found 2 dinosaurs that at first were eating each other and fighting each
And kind
other.
of in the distance. Like,
Yeah.
we could see them. They were like maybe 100 yards off.
Well, we caught up to them,
Oh boy.
or maybe they caught up to us.
I think they kind of made their way over.
And their aggression turned from each other to us.
Oh, no.
And they murdered us and ruined our boat.
No, listen, it wasn't
That's-
even just murder. I was terrified.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were standing on the boat. We were watching them go. And I'm like, man, what are they doing? They're like under the water. Like, they were fighting under the boat for a minute. And we're like, okay. And they're crocodile dinosaurs.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, I don't know if you saw this, Chuck. All of a sudden, one grabbed me by the leg and dragged me away from the boat, like really fast. Just swam me away from the boat.
That's awesome.
And I'm frantically shooting it with the bow and arrow I had. I'm like, no, Chuck, how it dragged me away. I'm dying.
Wow.
And it eventually killed me.
Yeah.
I didn't survive.
Yeah, so we both got killed. The boat got destroyed.
Good times.
And all the stuff we had was lost forever.
The boat is still there.
The boat is probably still out there on the water
On the
somewhere.
swamp, but I don't know how we're going to get
Oh,
it back. I'm
interesting.
afraid to go back
And
over
then
there.
as a
Right.
fun follow-up to that, because it doesn't, unless you built certain correct items, it doesn't let you respawn or come back to life in a nice way in your little camp.
That's
So
true, yeah.
I had to appear in some random location.
What?
And
He hasn't built a
ran
sleeping
so
bag.
far
Oh.
to get back to the camp. So you have to eat and drink in this game too.
Yeah.
That my character starved to death as soon as I finally made it back to Rex.
Oh no.
No,
and
no,
I had to start over again.
no, here's the problem. This game is complicated.
It
First
is.
of all, you jumped off a cliff and broke a leg.
Oh.
True, I did do that.
Second of all, you started eating this berry without looking at the
Tooltip.
the
Info
flavor
tip.
text.
Yeah.
Also did that.
And you told me what berry it was. I'm like, oh, the stem berry. Yeah,
Barrow.
if you eat those, you get super dehydrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's probably what killed you.
And I died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super fun game.
Yeah.
I
Right in front of my dear friend.
Yeah, he was literally like 10 feet away from the front door of our like log cabin.
That's awesome.
Okay, I feel like we've given a pretty decent rundown of how it feels, how it plays. I really like the fact that we're working together. I really am enjoying being able to like get creative and like I built a cabin, I built a little like stone workshop, I built a little dock.
Quite the builder.
Now we got like we'll probably have to make another raft to try to go save the first raft.
Yeah.
If we're brave enough. And it's, to me, I'm really enjoying this game. It's pretty relaxing. It's not hard. Getting dragged off by a dinosaur was pretty terrifying.
It's one of those games, it's not hard to figure out, difficult to master.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you learn just by doing.
Yes.
And making mistakes.
Yep.
And
learn
stuff
by.
like
and
that.
luckily, it doesn't punish you too much. It's kind of a bummer that you lose all your stuff, but you maintain your level and what you can build. So you just make more stuff.
Yeah.
But, doable.
Yep.
I'm gonna say it's a 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing keeping me from saying a 5 out of 5 is just the difficulty we've had some with the way that the game is set up, where you can't build next to other people's like pillar or something, like, or where we've had some issues just getting connected with server stuff.
Yeah.
It could use a little bit better of a user interface.
Right.
It can be a little confusing. It doesn't hold your hand enough. I don't like games necessarily that hold your hand like completely, but I think it could use a little bit more help with like it doesn't have like a tutorial.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just in, and then you just got to figure it out. Which is a draw to a lot of people, but
could be. There's actually from the main menu. There's what they call a survival guide, which I've never looked at, but it may be.
That's probably what I should have done.
Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe you're
could
right.
have been helpful.
Maybe they can get a 4.5.
I agree that
if
the
I
you've
UI
got-
could use help though.
If you've got 2 to 3 friends who would come along on the journey with you to form a tribe and make stuff and have fun, chopping down trees and hunting dinosaurs together, Ark Survival Evolved, highly recommend.
Or if you want to make 2 to 3 friends, join us.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes. Contact us.
We're
we'll
awesome.
get you in the Discord, not discard. Wow. Okay, I think we've actually made good time on this. So what we'll do is we'll tease the next things that we have on our lists, and then we'll save those for another round. So my next one will be coming soon. We'll talk about Borderlands 2.
I'll talk about a game that actually Mrs. Chuck and I have really enjoyed together called Stardew Valley.
Very good.
For those of you with girlfriends or wives,
Yes.
this is one to check out. Fun for both of you.
Good times.
And I will be jumping into a game called Valorant, which is a new game from Riot Games, the same people who brought you League of Legends.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks for joining us again. This has been Season 2, Episode 8-ish, or maybe a quick fire or something. We might not have a number for it, but
Let's
we'll
say
figure
this
it
is
out.
a bonus episode.
Yeah.
Bonus. Season 2 bonus, Episode 1. Burn Mac with Rex and Chuck. Wow, I butchered that.
Yeah.
One more time. RARC Podcast. Find us, follow us, like us, etc.
Play games, have fun, stay home. We'll see you soon.
All right.